Oh, perfect. You
Okay.
guys see the screen.
Perfect.
We're making progress.
Okay, so here we go. So I made a really cool, and some of it's courtesy to Chabad.com and Aish.com, but I made a really cool page, two pages to get you ready for Passover. Very simple, very easy, and you could just follow us, and we'll tell you the basics of getting ready for Passover. So from now till Passover, we're just under 2 weeks, and Passover entails getting rid of your chametz, getting rid of all bread and cracker and anything that's of leavened bread or not kosher for Passover. We go around our house and we look for that stuff and we get rid of it, okay? So I gave already a class on why we are so strict about getting rid of bread. Bread represents our inner pride. It represents getting out of our slavery and coming free, which is why we have matzah. Matzah's humility, right? We weren't just in Egypt in slavery, but we also came out of Egypt from physical slavery, and we're trying to become better people. So for these 7 days, we want to come more free within ourselves, and we want to get rid of the chametz, which represents pride. I have a whole class that we already just gave on this, but I want to go to the texts that I have here and really the overall getting ready for Passover in a very short amount of time. So remember, this is the very first point I wrote here, spring cleaning versus Passover cleaning. I know that everyone likes doing spring cleaning, and you can, but that's not necessary for Passover cleaning. You know, there's a saying that goes around in the religious community, which is that dust is not chametz, dust is not bread, and the parents are not the offering of the Paschal lamb. So we are not the Paschal lamb, and the dust is not chametz, meaning to say, you know, we just want to get rid of bread, and that's it. Some people take this to a whole new level. They say, okay, this is our opportunity to go spring cleaning, but that is not necessary at all. You just need to get rid of bread. So what we do is, before Passover, we clean our home from chametz. It's not spring cleaning. All we do is make sure there's no chametz in the home. Areas that I do not enter with food will not need cleaning from chametz. So for instance, if I have a storage area where I don't normally take food in there, then I do not need to clean it from chametz. I don't need to check it. I don't need to look for it because I never take food there. Only areas where I normally take food, those are the areas that I need to check. And in fact, the areas where there's most food is the area that obviously needs to be checked the most. So for instance, I gave some examples of areas that need cleaning. A car, anyone here does not eat in their car? You should hang out in our car with all our kids. Daddy, I'm hungry after 10 minutes of driving. So, so the example of areas that need cleaning is the car, the kitchen, obviously, your bedroom, under your bed sometimes. Maybe there's sometimes where you're alone, like in this crazy situation that we're in right now, and you want to check. Sorry?
I'm saying if people obviously can't eat in their bed like I do, you know, they need to clean their bed.
Right, so you're eating into your bed. And so you should check there. You should check your coats and your bags, things like that, which are common to have food and bread or crumbs of bread in it. Okay? Everyone's with me so far? People on the Zoom, you with me? Okay, you can hear, you're with me. Okay, so number 3 is koshering out your kitchen. Okay, so that's the next stage. And there is a rule brought down in the Talmud and in the Shulchan Aruch, which is that in order to kosher a kitchen, right, our parts need to be koshered from usage during the year because they have been used for bread. And even a tiny drip of bread that's absorbed into a pot or a plate has to be taken out so that you can use it. It has to be koshered. Just like when we want to kosher our kitchen and make it completely kosher, we would have to do the same thing to make our utensils ready for Passover, which is free from chametz. By the way, great idea, use disposables. I know some people are not going to like me for saying this, especially on Facebook, but there's also paper disposables, okay? And if you really want, there's also paper straws and paper forks and knives. I don't know about that, but there's paper everything. So you could use wood, stuff that you could throw away or use for your fireplace after, okay? So that would help you tremendously for the 7 days of Passover. It's not that long, but that could help you a lot. But in general, if you do want to use your utensils and your plates and your everything else, so you have to make it kosher. How do you make it kosher? We have a rule. The rule is the way that it absorbs the food is the way that you remove it. So for instance, if you have food that's on the grill outside, right? How does it absorb that non-kosher food? If you cooked non-kosher food, or if during the year you put bread on the grill outside, how does it absorb it? Through fire, directly with fire. So the only way to kosher out a grill is with fire. So to get either a fire torch or use a flame of the flame of the grill, but you need to directly put every part of it on fire. That is the way that you kosher it. It has to not be used for 24 hours. You clean it as much as you can, and then you put it under the furnace. Under each part of it has to be on the fire in order to come kosher. People would actually use a blowtorch to make a grill kosher completely. Okay, whether it's being used for non-kosher items or just in general, we'd use a blowtorch to kosher out a grill. Okay, but in general, so a pot is normally used with boiling water. That's how you have the food inside and you boil water in it. So the way to clean a pot is with boiling water. The same way that you absorb the non-kosher or the bread is the way that you kosher the item. Okay, so I have here the way you can kosher a microwave. There are some that say you can't, but for lenient purposes, especially for the crowd that we're speaking to, right, you can use your microwave and you can kosher it. All you have to do is place a water inside, place a cup with water in it inside and heat it for 20 minutes. Make sure that you first waited 24 hours without using it, cleaning it well, and then putting it on for about 10-20 minutes, 20 minutes preferably, till all the water, most of the water evaporates, and then you have a clean microwave. Okay. For the oven, if you have a self-clean, that is ideal. You just put it on self-clean. Make sure, again, if it's got a self-clean, you don't even need to wait 24 hours, but make sure it's clean everywhere. When I say clean, I mean that, you make sure there's no bits of dirt, but if we don't have to be so crazy about, all the black marks around the oven, that's not something which you have to do, but at least put it on its highest heat or self-clean for at least, self-clean is for as long as it takes to self-clean, or you put it on its highest heat. And if you do use your oven, preferably again, you should wait 24 hours, but if you're doing self-clean, you don't need to in order to kosher it, okay? Meaning when I say wait 24 hours is when you don't use it for 24 hours. Pots, and you see this on my sheet here for the guys that are on Zoom. The pots, you boil your pots because that's the way it absorbs the taste. By the way, how do we know this? We know this from the Torah. In the book of Numbers, it says clearly, and I'll translate the words here, Kol davar asher yavo ba'esh, anything which goes in fire needs to go through fire in order to kosher it, to make it pure. And then it says, V'chol asher lo yavo ba'esh, taviru b'mayim, whatever doesn't go in fire, you should put in water, meaning anything that's used with water should use water to remove it. This is written in Numbers chapter 31, verse 23, when the Jewish people took over the lands of Midian and they had their cutlery. Okay, this was a battle that they managed to overcome, and they took their cutlery, and they were allowed to take their cutlery, but they were told to make it kosher, and from there we learned the idea of making things kosher. Okay, so pots, in order to kosher out your pot, what you do is you boil it to the highest heat till it boils, and you allow it to overspill. The best way to make it overspill, by the way, is to get the pot to boil, put it to almost the top with water, get it to boil, and then put something else inside, like another pot maybe, or something else, maybe a brick or a big stone inside the pot, so the water will overflow and kosher the whole thing from the outside as well. And that is enough to kosher your pot. Cutlery, the cutlery is never directly, normally is never directly in the pot of the fire. And therefore, all you need to do is just pour boiling hot water onto it. You don't actually have to cook it. You could, it's easier if you just put your cutlery in the pot as well, but you can just pour onto it hot water from the pot. The granite counters can also, you pour hot water on it and you kosher it like that. You just, the best is to get hot water in and turn on the faucet and just go around everywhere and kosher out the area of your countertops. Okay, you pour hot water. There is a problem with china and earthenware. They cannot be made kosher, whether you buy those secondhand and you decide to start going kosher. We cannot use china or earthenware, cheres, any types of things like that cannot be used and cannot be made kosher unless you buy it brand new. But again, it's best to buy paper plates to make things easier for yourself. And that way you don't have to kosher anything. But at least your sink, which is metal, you should also kosher. If it's not metal and it's made out of not granite, but what's that material called?
Also, they have like those old ones, so it's china. It's like
right.
Ceramic.
What's that called? Ceramic. Ceramic.
Yes.
So ceramic sinks cannot be.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. Ceramic sinks cannot be made kosher. So what you do for that is, at least the taps, you can pour hot water on that because that's normally metal. And then for the area of the ceramic, you put in another, like a plastic or something where you can put your dishes in there for the time of Passover. Okay?
What about tile, like countertops?
Yeah.
So tile is also, it's the same as china and earthenware. It's not granite, and therefore that is something which cannot be kosher. Okay, which means all it means is that you can't put hot stuff on it. Okay, if you're using anything hot, you should use something else first. You should use a chopping board or something else, right? Food directly shouldn't go on that granite, on that tile. Okay, so tiles are something which you cannot kosher. Any other points, Shira?
Does she need to cover it though for Pesach?
Is it better
You
just
could
to
cover it,
cover
you
your
don't have to.
countertops then?
Yeah, it's better if you want to use it. You know, if you want to use it directly with food and cut food on it, if you're not really using it directly, then it's okay. Okay? On this page that I'm going to share with you after, I also have an option. There is an option to sell your chametz. Okay, so you can sell your chametz. You can actually go online, and Chabad.org has a really good way of selling it online. And you can actually sell it. You could just take an area where you have pasta, especially this year where everyone's stocking up on supplies. We don't know what's going to be. So even us as well, normally we just throw everything out. But this year we do have a lot of, barley and pasta and oats. So what we're going to do is put it in a box on the side and sell it on Chabad.org. It tells you the procedure of how to sell your stuff. You put it in one area of your house. We have a commandment in the Torah, which is called Bal Yira'eh or Bal Yimatzeh, which means two different commandments in the Torah, which means that you cannot see your own chametz during Passover, and you can't be able to have it available to you. So even if you can, you hide it, but if it's available to you, that's also a problem. So if you sell it, you're allowed to walk into a non-kosher bakery or whatever during Passover. It's not advised, but you're allowed to walk in there. There's nothing wrong with seeing chametz. We're just not allowed to own it, okay? But you could put your chametz in a cupboard and sell it, and that's probably well advised for this year, especially because of what's going on, and everyone's storing a lot of pasta and stuff. You should sell it, put it in a separate section, a cupboard, designate one cupboard for your chametz and sell it, okay? And you can go online to Chabad.org, and I'll send you the link. You can just search in Google Chabad sell my chametz, and you'll find it as well. Okay, so that's about selling your chametz. By the way, whiskey, any of you who like schnapps and all the other stuff, is made with grain. Okay, a lot of that stuff is made with grain. So that is real chametz, and it needs to be sold. Okay, so if you have whiskey, put it in that box or in that cupboard that you designate and sell it. You need to, okay, so that's that. The next stage is the night before Passover. Passover is this year on Wednesday, April the 8th, on the sun, starting from sundown. Okay, the night before Passover is Tuesday night, April 7th at nightfall, and it starts from around 7:58 at night. That is Tuesday night, April 7th. The night before Passover is the night where we do the checking, searching for chametz. This is a real fun time for my kids, and I hope you do this with your kids one day and with your roommates, because you can have some fun, especially that we're not doing much anyway. At least do this, okay? It doesn't hurt, it's fun. Yes, Dan, what were you asking?
Can we borrow your kids?
We can, you know what we could do? We could do it live. You could join us in our house, and you could join
We'll do it live.
Wait,
Yeah.
boys, are you all matching?
Yeah, we always match.
Okay.
No.
Together.
Yesterday was red, tomorrow's white for Shabbat.
Got it.
That's beautiful.
There will be so many people that are going to match it tomorrow. That would be great.
That's my dress-up code every day. Okay, so back to where we were. So Tuesday night, April 7th at nightfall is when we do B'dikat Chametz. Now, some people have their kids, but if you're with your roommates, you can also get one of your roommates to take 10 pieces of chametz. By that time, by Tuesday night, you should be chametz free, bread free from your house. No more bread. But you should take 10 small pieces, and I mean small, like the size of an olive, okay? And small pieces of bread, and wrap it in plastic or aluminum foil. Probably better in some kind of plastic, right? Wrap it and take it around your house. Have it have someone hide it around your house in all different parts of your house. In my family, don't ask where I used to find my pieces. My mom used to hide it in my socks and all different areas, right? So, but we used to go around looking for the 10 pieces. So you get these 10 pieces and you hide them. And this is actually a Kabbalistic thing, why it's number 10 and why we do exactly the way it's done. But in general, get 10 pieces, hide them, and then have one guy light a candle. Okay, starting from 7:58, you light a candle and you make a bracha. You say a bracha, you say a blessing before you go around the house. And this is the blessing. Blessed are you, Hashem, the King of the universe, who made us holy with his mitzvot, and he commanded us to destroy our chametz. Okay? And that is done. You make that blessing, and then you go around the house searching for those 10 pieces. Now, the guy that hid those 10 pieces has to give you clues of where it is. Okay, cold, cold, hot, hot. For us, it's a lot of fun with the kids. We'll be streaming this live when it comes to the time, and we'll have a good time, right, Shira? We're gonna get this live.
Yeah, we will.
Be'ezrat Hashem, with the help of God, we'll be around, and we'll be going around our house with our kids having a lot of fun. So that's the blessing. And then you search for it. And then once you've searched for it, you say another prayer, and it's called Kol Chamira, but you could say in English, it's actually a blessing that you do not have to say in Hebrew, okay? And this is the statement of the blessing. It's right at the top. All leaven or anything leavened, which is in my possession, which I have neither seen nor removed, and about which I am unaware, shall be considered as nothing and ownerless as the dust of the earth. Now, really, there's actually an additional prayer that people add, and I'm going to share it. I didn't have the time to add it here, where you are meant to actually meditate on all of your inner pride and remove it from yourself. Remember, pride is the source of all bad habits, right? Anger is because they hurt my pride. If somebody offends me, it's because they're hurting my pride. So ego is one of the sources. If we take pride in the wrong way, don't get me wrong, if you are proud for good things, then that's good. But, taking pride in the wrong way could be very bad. So at that moment that you've completely removed and you've worked in removing all the chametz from your house, that's the moment to go into this ultimate meditation and focus on the fact that you want to, just as you physically removed this leavened bread, which is much bigger than the essence of what it really is, because it grows and it blows itself up. That's what bread does. It's really just matter, but because you give it time, it lets it blow itself up. So you want to meditate on this moment after working so hard to remove that pride from within yourself. Okay, and that is a very special moment of prayer, to pray that you can become a better person, that you should be more spiritual, you should be more connected to your inner core, to yourself, to God, right? That's the moment. And I will share with you that prayer. Okay? So that's on Tuesday night, April 7th. On Wednesday, April 8th is Erev Passover, the morning before Passover. Okay? And on that morning is the fast of the firstborns. Are any firstborns here on the Zoom group? Firstborns? Okay, so we have some firstborns. So the idea is that there should be a fast at least until midday. Now, the way that we undo this fast, by the way, the reason why we fast is because we are happy that the Jews were free, but there were many firstborns that died. And luckily, we were spared from that death. So it's true, we're going to celebrate this whole Passover, and we're going to celebrate everything, but we need to recognize that it came on the expense, it came on the expense of the creations of God. And we could have been those firstborns. Okay, so all the firstborns of the Jewish people fast on this day, at least till half day. And they normally undo this fasting by having someone participate in a Torah study celebration. So if somebody finished a Talmud or a tractate of Mishnah, they would make a completion, and there would be a big celebration, and then everyone can eat again. So that's the other way of removing this fast, and that's what's normally done. This year, that's going to be a big challenge, because there's no shuls, there's no synagogues, and there's no way for these firstborns to all get together and celebrate their firstbornship, right? Celebrate a Torah study celebration. So this year there is a question. I'll just take a question in a second. This year there is a question about it. I do not know what the halachic authority have said. Maybe if people join a Zoom celebration, they will be able to. If they join a Zoom celebration, they'll be able to participate. Yes. Did anyone have a question there?
Is it firstborn son or firstborn child?
No, it's firstborn son.
Firstborn son. Okay, because it was the firstborn sons that was spared.
Yeah, where did it go?
Like thirdborn kid, but first son. So I have to fast?
Are you the firstborn?
The firstborn son, but I'm the thirdborn kid.
No, you don't have to fast. So that was a good question. Just telling the Facebook people. A third child like Abraham, who's actually the 4th child, but after 3 girls, is not considered a firstborn. Okay? The firstborn is someone that would have a special ceremony called Pidyon Haben, redemption of the firstborn when he's born. Only if he's the firstborn son, then he has to do that, because the firstborn sons were the ones that were saved from this day before Passover. Okay? This is a really fun experience for anyone that does it. I can't imagine my life without it. So I really hope that everyone here takes this and experiences this. This is such an opportunity this year, especially that we're all anyway in our home. Make your home a fun place with Judaism. I promise you, we are not bored in our house. There's so much going on with our kids and, you know, with getting ready for Passover. We went on a massive spring clean. I don't know if you guys could see, but look, we did all the shelves, everything's redone and behind us. Can you see? We literally redid it's a real fun opportunity. This is the time anyway that the world is on a shutdown. So besides for Shabbat, take this opportunity and get ready for Passover. It's fun. Do it. It's fun. Do it. Okay, so on Wednesday, April 8th, is the day before Passover. And I said that's when the morning, there's the fast of the firstborns. And then there's something very interesting. Okay, we are not allowed to eat bread from Wednesday morning. Okay, it's not from Passover Eve, already from the morning, and it's going to be at 10:47 in the morning if you're living in Los Angeles. You must not eat bread. The reason for that is because that was the time when we had the Paschal Lamb. So when we used to live in Jerusalem, and hopefully soon once again, when we used to live in Jerusalem, we used to take the whole family, the entire family would sit together with a entire Paschal lamb, and we would have some great meat, and we'd sit and celebrate the meal. Okay, so this was done, and the animal Paschal lamb was already prepared from the 5th hour, already prepared from the 6th hour, but from the 5th hour we stopped eating of the day, okay? And the Torah tells us that from the time that they brought the Paschal lamb, that's the time that you start keeping the laws of chametz, of not eating leavened bread, okay? It says that you can't eat the Paschal lamb whilst eating the bread. So there's no, from 10:47 on Wednesday morning of April 8th, we stop eating chametz, we stop eating bread, and an hour later, around the time of 12, we burn our chametz. So those 10 pieces that you gathered the night before, the rest of your chametz should just be disposed of. But already beforehand. But at least these 10 pieces, or the bits of food that you're still eating, so that gets burnt the next day. And there's a blessing on that as well, al biur chametz, similar to the one that we said beforehand. Okay, and you say the same blessing as we said before, which is said by the Tuesday night. Okay, you say that same blessing and you burn it. We are going to be doing a burning ceremony in our backyard using our fire pit that we have. So anyone who wants, you could send us small pieces. Don't send us a whole herd of bread now, because we won't know what to do with it. But send us
behind the gate. In the morning before 10:47. In the driveway.
Okay, you heard that? Leave it behind our gate and we'll pick it up. I'll disinfect it first and then throw it in the furnace and then disinfect it even more. Okay, so we're going to burn that on Wednesday, April 8th, around 11:51. And that's basically the preparations for Passover. Passover starts on Wednesday, April the 8th, sundown, starting around 7 p.m. on Passover is going to start Wednesday night, April 8th. And this is a real special time to spend it with your family, with your friends, together. You know, thank goodness we're allowed to be with at least 2 people or 3 people, right? So, or if at least with your roommates. So you can definitely take this opportunity and make Passover great again by enjoying it and doing it properly. That starts on Wednesday, April 8th, sundown. Okay, so that's basically the general idea for preparing for Passover. I will send this out afterwards for you guys to see. So, and go through the list. But now we want to take you through the Seder shopping list, and I'm going to leave Shira for this because I just follow rules by this point, right? At this point, I'm just like, I'm running around from store to store. Shira's like, Jack, did you get this? Did you get that? And then I paid for everything, but then I forgot another 5 things. Never mind, right? So that's our story. And so we're going to go through the shopping list right now and things that you need for Passover itself.
Then they'll ask questions.
And we'll leave some questions. We'll continue this next week to really complete the shopping list as well. But I'll share this with anyone that wants. I'll send a link on Facebook too, or to all the guys that are on our Zoom. We'll send it with you as well. So I'll leave this to Shira. Enjoy the shopping list, and she'll also give you some tips of how to make it easy and quick. Okay, so here goes Shira.
All right.
Enjoy.
So, and then we'll have a few minutes after for questions. And I also thought, next week when we go over more things, I can also have ideas of easy, quick recipes of healthy food during Pesach, so you don't feel like you're eating the same thing again and again and again. And you can still stay healthy, but keep Pesach, keep Passover. So let's do that. So what we see here on the paper, you can still see it on the shared screen. We'll start with matzah. So for the night of Pesach, for Leila Seder, we are celebrating 2, right? Outside of Israel, we celebrate 2 seders, 2 nights. So it's going to be Wednesday night, Thursday night. And so what do we need to have? The first thing is matzah. So we first thing need to have 3 whole matzahs per seder plate per night. So that means 6 whole matzahs. It's nice if you can get shmura matzah, handmade. They sell it pretty much in every, kosher store here, including Ralph's and Costco. But I don't suggest you go to Costco. It's too much hassle. You can go anywhere here and get it. And if you can't get it, get regular machine matzah, but it's special to get the handmade matzah.
At least for the first night.
Yes. And then also we said 3 matzahs per night per seder plate, and then 2 matzahs for each person per seder. That means you need 4 matzahs for the 2 seders for each person. Okay.
So you're saying you need 3 for the plate and 2 for each person during the meal.
For eating, yeah.
For eating. Yeah. Okay. At least that much. If you get a box from Ralph's, you can get a box of matzah for $10. Machine-made matzahs, you get a massive box, very cheap, from Ralph's, just around the corner from here.
Yes. Okay, so now we're going to start with the seder plate. The seder plate, by the way, is not that complicated. It does have a few things that you need to have on it. But what I was thinking to do, since the situation is, not so easy, some people reached out to me that said it's like so overwhelming, they're not ready to start doing all these things. So there's 2 options. If you're not up for making, the things for the seder plate, which we're going to go over, you can either have, order it from Leaders or some other places here. I know that the caterings are offering it, or I'm going to be offering it as well for our community. And so if you're interested, reach out to me, let me know in advance, and we will make sure to do it for you. So yeah, now let's go to the seder plate.
I have a picture if you want.
No, after, I'll do it after. Okay, so let's start. So obviously we have the seder, by the way, the seder plate, we need 1 for each seder, whatever, each night. So you can have a few, like when we have a lot of guests, which is not the case this year, we had 1 on each table. But in general, you should have just 1 with the things that we're going to mention.
So Dan and Shlomo and Eitan, for instance, you just need 1 seder plate for your whole group.
Yeah. Of 3 people. For each night. So you're going to make sure to refill it. If it's finished from the first night, you're going to put more for the second night. Okay, so we'll start with wine or grape juice. You need enough for 4 cups per person per seder night. So you need 8 cups. So do the calculations. And also plus enough to fill Elijah's cup. And that's a symbolic thing that we do. We say that Elijah's cup is the redemption cup that we're hoping to have this year. And so we fill up a cup. We don't actually, make a blessing on it or anything. You can keep the same cup from the first night to the second night, just cover it overnight. And after, you can probably drink it, right?
Yeah.
After the seder.
How full do your cups have to be each night? Like each
Full to
like
the top.
full to the top?
Yeah, you can get a smaller cup.
Yeah, you don't have to you don't have to get, by the way, those massive like wine glasses like we have. I figured, quite a few years ago, it's better to get those smaller, really cute ones. Like it looks like a Kiddush cup. You can show them. I think Blackmouth sells them for a few dollars. It's like a pack of like 6 or 10. And they look like silver, and they're cool, and they're pretty small. So like it makes, you make sure you can fill up each one and drink it. Those who don't have a problem to drink full, 4 cups, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so just
And
enough to
here-
have
This is bigger than that's needed. You
Yeah.
probably don't even need, if you can
what
get
do
a
they
cup, which is
say? How
even,
many what is
Yeah, I
said?
actually wrote it down.
it's about 2 ounces.
It's 2.9 ounces. That's like the
2.9
minimum.
ounces.
3 ounces. Okay.
Around
Something
3
like that,
ounces.
Yes, it's not too big.
This is a lot. This is probably double that, okay? But if you can get a cup,
12.
you have to fill the cup to the top because it's a kosher bracha, a cup of blessing.
Yeah, you want it to
And
be full.
right, our custom is to fill it to the top, but it could be smaller than this.
Yeah.
Okay, so technically
also-
you need only like 12 ounces. 12
Yeah, per
16
night.
ounces.
But you need to make sure that each cup is in
full.
looks like it's full. Yeah, exactly. I do suggest these because these are pretty much the smallest we could get, and it's smaller than a regular glass wine. So you could get that or probably any other store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actual wine, not grape juice, right?
What were you saying?
Better to use wine, yes.
There's
Yeah,
no
it's
way
better.
Peter drinks 4 cups of wine.
Do you have a problem
Dan,
with drinking
I
4 cups
challenge
of
you to
wine?
that.
There's no way Shira does it. It's
Well,
true.
listen, you know what I do? I actually mix. I do wine and grape juice.
Ah.
You want to know?
Okay.
Do you have the twist of both? I definitely don't drink 4 cups of
wine to
wine.
me.
Well, yeah, good point.
I drink only wine, the best of the best.
Attaboy.
What works really well, by the way, I do the dessert wine, the Bartanura white wine. I do mix it with grape juice. With grape juice, it goes pretty well. It's not too bad.
I'm gonna have to try
Yeah.
that.
Try it. Let me know after. Okay, and then make sure for each person you have that. Okay, so each person should have one for each night. So you're good to go. You have your own cup. Now, the next thing that we're gonna have is the maror, the bitter herb or herb. So for some, it's romaine lettuce, some it's horseradish. We do both. So we have both on the plate. Now, romaine lettuce, I actually wrote, easy ways of, because you need to make sure to clean it from bugs. And so the best way is you put it in a bowl with warm water and some dish soap. Nothing will happen to it. Don't worry. It's not gonna, poison you in any way. And then after a few minutes, you're gonna rinse it really well and put it on the side to dry or make it stand up. So you're good to go. Prepare enough for both nights in advance so you don't have to do it on Yom Tov. And I will even tell you how many
You wash it well after, right? Check each one.
Yeah, yes. So we need about, I would say, 4 leaves. Do we call it leaves? Yeah. 4 leaves of the romaine lettuce for each person each night. So for each person, you need minimum of 8 leaves for both nights. Now with horseradish, you obviously be prepared to shed some tears. You need to peel it and then you're gonna grate it. So it's small pieces. And then you should have about, I mean, listen, if it's really hard for you, I don't know, do they really have to?
No, you don't have to.
You don't
Horseradish
have to.
is not a requirement, but it's good to have. It gives that smell and the vibes of Passover. It's definitely a good idea.
And you should have a portion of like the size of an olive, let's say, for each person per seder night. So it's a little bit. It's not too much. You buy like a little piece of it. So that's in terms of the maror. So we said that.
The romaine lettuce, by the way, is sweet when you start chewing it, and only gets bitter after time. And the message of that is that that's exactly how Pharaoh worked. At first, it was perach. He was slowly speaking us into it. He was being nice and kind. And then came the bitterness after a while, okay? And that should be actually an intake for us to say to ourselves, okay, we want to free ourselves from being deceptive, of giving over this picture in our own lives to others of being sweet, but then also being bitter, okay? And that's not something which we want to do ourselves. So it's a very powerful thing, okay?
Right. Now, side note, obviously Haggadah, it's really important that I think each person should have one. That way you can all participate, you can all feel like you are following, you're part of it, you have your own one.
And we have ours on $5. We can give you a really gorgeous,
beautiful one.
With transliteration, translation, explanations. It's geared towards beginners.
Right. So
Really nice
if you haven't told us yet, please let us know as soon as possible so we can make sure they send it, because obviously they need to ship it and we don't want it to be too late for the seder. Now, the next thing on the seder plate will be charoset. The charoset is that pasty, mixture of the nuts to remind us of the, the hard Jewish labor, and we basically remember it by making this like charoset mortar looking. Now, people put different ingredients in it. I stick to my mom's recipe, which I love very much, and it's pretty simple. It's only almonds, chopped almonds, chopped walnuts, dates. So I wash them really, by the way, I check them really well. You need to check dates for the worms. And then I put it in hot water overnight. So it soaks a lot of water. It's very juicy. And then I mince it together with the almonds and walnuts and add some red wine. That's it. You have your charoset ready. And again, if it's too much work, whatever, I'm gonna be offering. So be in touch with me if you need me to make for you as well. And obviously let me know in advance so I make sure I have enough ingredients. The next thing is zroa, the roasted bone. That's to commemorate the Paschal lamb, Zecher leKorban Pesach. You need just one on the seder plate. You don't eat it, you don't use it, so you just need one. For both nights, could be the same one. We can also do chicken wing. Like I can tell you honestly, when we lived in Eugene, we were very limited with what we could get. And chicken wings was the only thing we could get. So I roasted it on the stove and I was good to go. We had the zroa, so you can still do it now, but you can go to the kosher butchers here and you can get the zroa. Now, the next thing is beitza, hard-boiled egg, and that's pretty simple. You also don't eat it. Just boil an egg before, and that will be on your plate. You don't need more than one, and it's the same one for both nights. The next thing is kalpas, the vegetable, and that's, you need not a lot, about 7 grams per person per night. So it's really like, we use celery for that. So it's just, you take the celery, they're pretty long usually, and then you cut each one to like 3. So it's enough, it's really, you take a small piece for the dipping and the salt water, obviously salt water. So you need to do it before Yom Tov starts. Take some warm water with salt, mix it. It's salty. That's all you need for dipping the vegetable. Let's see. I think I pretty much went over the whole thing. Sorry, I forgot to even show you on the screen. Here is what we said, beitza, and here you can see the picture of the seder plate. I'm sure you can all see it. We have the zroa, we have the egg, the romaine lettuce, the horseradish, and the karpas, which is the celery. So here it shows like the leaves of the celery. I use the actual bunches. What is it called? The actual celery.
Celery.
Yeah, no, because here it shows the leaves. Okay, so this is in regards to your seder plate. So that's all you need to get in order to do this. And
Can you
obviously
show me
they're
a picture at the
gonna.
bottom?
Yes. Now, obviously for the actual meal, you will cook whatever you choose to cook. Meat, chicken, whatever, fish if you do.
Will you be giving recipes and ideas?
So yeah, I'm planning to do it next week. If we have time, I'm gonna give them the recipes, for different things for Passover night, certain dishes that are pretty easy to make. By us, I make it pretty similar to the Shabbat food, but with a little twist because I like it to be a little different. But we still have fish. Do we have fish on Saturday?
Don't have to, but we do.
I mean, we do. And then we do. I think we skip the soup because it's way too much. By that time, we're really full. And then the main course. So meat and sides, vegetable and different kugels. I go all out, on Pesach because it's, the only thing you have is eggs and vegetables. So you can make lots of different things. But we'll go over recipes then. And if you have specific, things that you like eating, just ask me, for ideas of how to make, what to make. I'll be happy to share ideas. I love experimenting in the kitchen. And so you're welcome to reach out. Okay, so we did that. Now let's see, what was the other one? Everything else. Okay, so just side things that I think is important to make sure you have. Let's see, for the seder plate. Oh, wow, okay, I better be on time. So candles, we need to light candles, 2 candles each night, like Shabbat, but it's not the blessing of Shabbat, it's the blessing of Ladlit Nil Shel Yom Tov. And what did we say? Do they need, if let's say it's roommates, not each one of them need to light?
Normally, yeah. So I mean, the minimum is just two. But if you all want to each light for the holiday, then so you can as well.
Yeah. So
each one of you should light
2.
Okay. 2. Yeah, 2.
2. Okay. So that, and prepare the candles in advance. So you put them all out. The only thing you'll need to do is just to light it. And by the way, we don't use a match to light it. What we have on the side on Yom Tov, we buy these candles also from the Jewish stores. It's called a 24-hour candle, and some candles are like 72 hours. So you always have a flame. Something is lit. And so when you need to light candles, or we'll talk about that also. Did you mention about cooking on Yom Tov? Because we're allowed to cook on Yom Tov if you pass the fire, from fire to fire.
We can't extinguish a flame. You can just connect a flame that's already lit. Okay, so if you want to light a gas, you can take a match, connect it to a candle that's already lit,
and then pass the fire.
And pass it to the flame, to the gas, and it will turn it on.
Right, and then you can actually.
Would you recommend getting a hot plate, like a Shabbat hot plate? Because I don't have a gas stove. I have like an electric one.
Yes, I would definitely recommend, just in general, for Shabbat and Yom Tov.
Yeah.
It's much easier because that way I set it up with a timer. So I know when it's going to go on, when it's going to go off, to make it safe. I don't leave it overnight on. With the fire, it's a bit tricky because you can't just turn it off after. So you'll have to find a way how to naturally have it, what do we usually do? We put like a pasta, on a pot, and then it overflows, and eventually we're hoping that it's gonna put out the flame, and then you turn off the gas real quick. But it's a procedure. So if you don't have to do it, it's better to have,
By the way, a gas stove is, if you have a way that you can put a timer on it, and just have a certain time
Ooh,
where
does
it
that
goes
have
on,
to have that? That would be cool.
you could do that and, you know, connect it to a timer, and then only at a certain time it goes on, you can heat up
Can
food
she
for
do that
yourself.
with electric?
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe you could do that.
Wait, how would I do that?
I don't know. I'm just saying maybe you can connect it. What type of stove are you talking about? Electric stove that's connected to
Oven or
To
like
the
just
oven?
electric? You
To the
plug it
oven.
in. Oh no,
okay.
so that's not. Yeah, no.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
As far as I know, I mean, I don't know.
I'll just invest in a hot plate.
Hot plate.
Hot
Yeah,
plate.
there's small hot plates are not crazy expensive, and it's gonna be used for those who do want to make sure they do it the right way. They keep Shabbat, for example, and the holidays, they can use it. It's much easier, I find. Once you have the food ready before, you just put it to warm up. You don't have to worry about not starting to cook, you know. But if you need to, you can. Passing the flame and doing that, that's fine too. Okay, so we said candles, obviously napkins and tableware. Ideally, it's nice if you have probably paperware for all of you. I'm sure you don't have like special sets for Pesach and what we said before. And if you don't want to have the hassle of making, you know, your sets kosher and whatever, if you want to use paperware and plastic cutleries, that's cool. I'm probably going to be doing it. Now I see. So I think this I'll keep for next week. The ideas of, you know, just different foods, what you focus on when you want to buy food for Passover. We're going to talk about it next week together with some recipes. If you have any specific recipes that you would like me to go over and point out, I'll be happy to. Just say what the ingredients that you would like to put in, and then we'll come up with something.
So I see some questions here. 1 second.
Here.
You know what? No, let's leave this on, and then we'll go here. Let's stop sharing the screen. 1 second.
Yeah, we'll stop sharing the screen so we can actually see everyone. Oh, finally, I see everyone's faces. Hey.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what were we? Oops.
How do you see? I think here, participants, and then here you see your see the chat.
So here's a question from Sari. If my roommates are Ashkenaz,
right,
am I allowed to have rice in the house? Yes.
It's not chametz.
It's not chametz. You're allowed to have rice in the house. They should keep to their custom and not eat it. But at the same time, you are allowed to have it. I just saw that in the halacha today.
Hey, Jonathan, I just see you. Sorry.
Oh, I see a dog.
Oh, I see. Wow. Such a cute dog. Ooh, it's been a while. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Let's see if there's any more questions.
Any more questions? Anyone else? Any thoughts, ideas?
Wow, everyone's so quiet. You can unmute yourself now. Here.
What's the rule about couscous?
No, couscous.
Couscous is pasta.
It's kind of pasta.
It's or maybe I'm thinking of quinoa actually.
Quinoa's kosher for Passover.
Kosher for Passover.
Yeah, we actually, last year I figured that out and I made some dishes with quinoa.
Because
until then I didn't even know.
It's not quinoa because like they didn't have that crop when they made the rules back in the day.
Exactly. So quinoa is kosher for Passover. I'm gonna send also.
Still need I think we still need the certification for Passover.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I don't know.
But
I'm gonna send a link, and the link will have also an app with all the information of what is kosher for Passover. You just search in the product, and you can see if it's kosher for Passover.
Is that the list that it's items that are kosher for Passover all year round, and you don't need to have a specific kosher for Passover?
It says on the thing.
It does say it because there's a whole list.
The CRC app. There's an app made by the CRC, which is the Chicago Rabbinical Council, and it's really, really useful. It has a whole Passover list, and it has a search button, so you just search your product, and it tells you which is kosher and which is not. Okay, but the best, by the way, Passover is more vegetables and more chicken and more healthy, like kind of things like that.
Proteins and vegetables.
Time to go healthy.
Yeah, and some matzah, obviously.
The matzahs,
Matzah Brian, matzah pizza. We'll have some too, but I'm a big fan of vegetables and protein. Probably would be good. Not too bad.
Any other questions, thoughts, ideas?
Yes, sorry. Did you have a question? I'm not sure. Wait, is she writing it? Oh, I don't know.
Sorry, attacked. Oops. Okay, so now she really is
I have a
attacked.
question.
Rabbi. Oh, sorry.
Is there
Go.
any way to make the toaster oven kosher for Passover?
The toaster oven, yeah, you put it on the highest heat.
Obviously clean it really well.
Clean it very well. Don't use it for 24 hours. Clean it well. Put it on its highest heat, and it's kosher.
More like
Okay.
How
toaster
long
oven,
for
right?
a night? No.
An hour.
Toaster oven.
Highest heat for an hour, hour and a half.
How about rice?
How about
If
rice?
you're Sephardic, rice is okay.
Are you Sephardi? I think Yemenites are.
I'm half Sephardic, so I guess I qualify.
Wait, what's your dad's side?
He's Ashkenazi.
I think rice for you is not.
Oh, that means Eitan can't eat rice either.
Yeah, my dad's Yemenite, dude.
Hold
My
out.
dad is Yemenite. I qualify.
Wait, you based it off of what your dad is?
Yeah, I
Well,
qualify.
usually.
I mean, I'm 100%
Wait, we based off
Ashkenazi.
of that.
It doesn't even matter. I'm
Right.
like,
Well, listen.
Wait, why
We
can't
both-
Eitan eat rice?
Okay.
Well, I don't know why he can't eat rice. Who said he can't eat rice?
Guys, all year round, people are like, I never eat rice, I don't eat carbs. Da, 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 da.
And then on
Suddenly
Pesach-
Passover's like, yeah,
No,
rice.
No, what is that keto matzah? I don't think so.
You
No
could,
keto
there's
friendly
egg matzah. Not really
You
keto.
have egg matzah.
Yeah, not
So
keto.
do I have to eat matzah?
there's gluten-free matzah, Dan.
Does
I
that count?
mean,
Still has
would it
carbs.
really hurt if you eat matzah just on the seder? You don't have to eat during the week. Don't
Dan.
like you don't eat bread.
Yes,
Matzah
exactly.
pizza.
Fine, but if he doesn't want to eat matzah pizza, so
Matzah pizza's a staple.
Ooh.
I'll give you a quick fact, which may change your mind, Dan, but
Well, it's good.
matzah
Yeah,
is
you know
the only eating requirement of our generation today in the Torah. That's the only food you're required to eat in Judaism today. There's no other food which requires it. You know, matzah balls and all that, not required.
So he will eat.
Principles aren't required.
I guess I'm gonna have to choose between my
That is
soul
not
and yours
required.
then.
Right. Just for 1 week. Just for 1 week.
Right.
There's no carbs there.
Sounds
You
good.
have plenty of. Wait, Pesach is pretty much keto, right? It's like vegetables and
Yeah, as long as you don't eat matzah.
fine. So without the matzah, you're good. So just for the 2 nights, maybe just a bit.
Fine.
And you'd be good to go.
Okay, guys, so we're done for now, and I'll send you the link and the page that I made with the whole
Wait,
list.
too soon.
Oh, really?
We will see you very soon.
Do we have
Maybe you'll even. What is it?
Do we have tacos?
Oh,
With matzah.
well, matzah tacos. You
Matzah
can
tacos.
definitely have.
Do they
With-
sell
with-
matzah tacos?
Wait, no rice and no beans. We can't do that, huh? We can't. We don't eat kidneyot, so we don't eat rice. But we both Sephardi, but we still don't. I mean,
Oh,
our
wait.
parents didn't.
I can eat rice and beans then, right? If you're Ashkenazic, you can eat rice and beans.
No.
No.
No, you can't.
I'm confused.
You can't.
Sephardian that can eat
Why
rice.
can't I have rice?
It's
Wait,
tradition.
Sephardic?
Half Ashkenazi.
Only
what
only
is that?
Sephardic people can eat kidneyot.
Can we have nothing good?
Huh?
Well, no, we're technically
I'm Sephardic.
we're statistically more intelligent.
Fine,
You
racist.
know.
There goes the racist there.
Science.
Judaism's not a race. It's not
Right,
racist.
Anyway.
Wait, are we gonna get into a huge conversation about is Judaism a race?
Oh, that could be a whole class, I think. No.
Yeah,
It's a
we're
religion
late for
here.
our next meeting though. You guys are running into our time.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, sorry guys, I actually have my
boys,
girls
we're
meeting
like
right
15
now.
minutes into our time.
I know, I didn't realize, oh my goodness, we're so.
Wait,
Guys,
but
I love you
what
all. I
about
miss
race?
you.
Thanks, Rabbi.
You
You
can't,
rock. Bye.
well, Shlomo is Sephardi,
Bye,
right?
bye.
Shlomo is
What?
Sephardi?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he?
So Shlomo and
You're not-
Eitan is going to eat rice, and you are not, Dan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No rice.
Yes.
Ooh, that was rough.
They say that your tribe is passed down through your roommates. So
Maybe quarantine make a
Pass
big
it down to
difference.